In this PPT, we will discuss about Unit 3, Electrical Parameters, Acquisition and Analysis. So the first topic is about electrodes. So electrodes are devices that converts ionic potentials into electronic potentials. So in order to process the signals in electronic circuits, it will be better to convert ionic conduction into electronic conduction. Electrode theory, that means to measure the bioelectrical potentials a transducer is required. So a transducer consists of two electrodes which measure ionic potential difference between 2 points. And the propagation of action potential through different body tissues produces final waveform recorded by these electrodes. So the main equation is the Nernst equation. So here Ex, that is equilibrium potential, that is equal to RT by ZF logarithmic X out by X in, that is R is the gas constant and T is the temperature, N is the valence of the electrode material, F is the Faraday constant, and X out X in is the ion concentration, and X in is also the ion concentration. So this is the Nernst equation. And classification of electrodes. Electrodes are classified into polarized electrodes, non-polarized electrodes, and the microelectrode, body surface electrode, and needle electrodes. So perfectly polarizable electrodes, that is which no actual charge crosses the electrode. So here has to be current across the interface and the electrodes behave as the capacitor. Perfectly polarizable electrodes are perfectly reversible. So thus for perfectly non-polarizable electrodes there are no over potentials. So electrode interfaces, the impedance is represented as the resistor. Next is the limb electrodes. So these are made up of 4 leads placed on the extremities, that is left and right wrist, left and right ankle, and the lead connected to the right ankle is a neutral lead. Like you find it in an electric plug. So it is there to complete an electrical circuit and plays no role in the ECG itself. Next is the microelectrodes. So these are the electrodes with tips having tips sufficiently small enough to penetrate a single cell in order to obtain readings from within the cell. The main functions of microelectrodes are potential recording and current injection. So here is the image for the microelectrodes. Surface electrode. These are the which placed in contact with the skin of the subject in order to obtain bioelectric potentials from the surface. Body surface electrodes are of many sizes and types. In spite of this type, any surface electrode can be used to sense ECG, EEG, EMG, etc. Immersion electrodes. So they are one of the first type of bioelectric measuring electrodes. These immersion electrodes were simply bucketing of saline solution in which the subject placed his hands and feet. Plate electrodes. Plate electrodes are generally smaller contact area and they do not totally seal on the patient. Since these type of electrodes were very sensitive, it lead to measurement errors. Disposable electrodes, that is normally plate electrodes, floating electrodes, etc. can be used more than one time. This requires the cleaning and cares after each use. So these type of electrodes are now widely used. Next is the suction electrode. These type of electrodes are well suited for attachment to flat surfaces of body, and an advantage of these type of electrodes is that it has small surface area. And the suction electrodes use a plastic syringe barrel to house suction tubing input cables to an AC amplifier. You can see in the diagram. Next is the ear clip and scalp electrodes. So here the scalp electrodes can provide EEG easily by placing it over bare head. The most common method for EEG measurement is 10 to 20 electrode placement system. During labor, internal monitoring may be needed and is usually in the form of an electrode placed under the baby scalp. So the electrodes is shown in the diagram, you can see. Next is the needle electrodes. So to reduce the interface and noise caused due to electrode movement during the measurement of EEG, EMG, we use this needle electrodes. This is not inserted into the brain. Needle electrodes for EMG measurement consist of fine insulated wires placed in such a way that there is tips or contact with the muscle. And the needles create the hole necessary for insertion and the wires forming the electrodes are carried inside it. Thank you.